Thank you all for joining us here today. It's great to be together in person again. You know, working at the Community Foundation is an incredible privilege. We have the privilege of providing grant support to 800 nonprofits and individuals every year. The honor of helping 230 nonprofits manage their endowments, from the YWCA to the Goodwill, to the organizations in ArtCo, to the state parks, the Lewis Library. We work with over 200 families and individuals who have established donor-advised funds. Folks like Chick and Barbara Allen, who brought huge support to University of Delaware and Nanticoke Health System, or Charles and Patricia Robinson, through their support of Tri-State Bird Rescue and others. We work with hundreds more donors who've created scholarship funds. So a recent one, Thomas and Mary Jo Russo, who sold their collection of antique business machines to develop a scholarship to help young people who want to study business. And on the topic of scholarships, I believe the press release went out today. We this year awarded 157 scholarships totaling $408,000. And Kelly Sheridan manages our scholarship program, and it is growing every year, new funds coming in every year. We learn from our corporate partners like Barclays and DuPont, both of whom support our BIPOC Leaders program, and Highmark, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and their amazing Blueprints program. Over the past 14 years, that program has made grants totaling close to $28 million to an astonishingly diverse set of organizations addressing health disparities, social determinants of health, training for healthcare workers, and so much more. We're able to support the work of the Fund for Women, Energize Delaware, the Youth Philanthropy Boards in all 3 counties, the Arched Cannon Fund and their work with Hispanic communities, the Riddell Foundation, Healthy Communities of Delaware. And we're humbled by the thousands of gifts that come into the foundation every single year to support those funds and other funds and our general operating work. Every day we have such privilege to work with you all. You know, I say the foundation is sometimes like the proverbial elephant with the blind people. Grants, scholarships, gifts, projects, it can look different based on where you come in. But in the end, it's all about a better and more equitable Delaware. So thank you all for being our partners. Now, I want to highlight 3 themes here. First, how DCF has in the past year and going forward deepened and expanded our work directly with and serving donors. Second, our ongoing and growing work in racial equity. And third, the importance of some fundamental aspects of civil society and democracy that we are increasingly leaning into. I'll start with donors. This past year has presented us opportunity to expand in all kinds of interesting ways. As many of you know, for the past 2 years, we have been revamping our entire tech system at the foundation. That we had to do that. And earlier this year, we launched our new donor portal and are thrilled, and many donors have called to say it's easier than ever for me to make grants from the foundation, and we're thrilled with this. We're pilot testing a new series of donor briefings on issues that you tell us you want to know more about. We're providing greater access for donors to the grant proposals that come through our door. We're reestablishing quarterly calls for fund holders with our investment advisors at SEI and continue to make SEI available, particularly for nonprofit fund holders who want their own briefings. And we've committed to have all of our development staff obtain the Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy certificate so that we ensure that when they're talking with donors, with professional advisors, and with the nonprofits we serve, we have the most up-to-date and sophisticated understanding of giving tools. And speaking of donors, I can't not say something about the COVID work. Our partnership with Philanthropy Delaware and with United Way and with Dana, but particularly with Philanthropy Delaware, brought in over 300 gifts totaling over $5.3 million. We're so pleased that within the past month, we've awarded the last $200,000 to the 4 hospital systems in the state to say, we're now handing this off to you. You're still doing the work, and we're going on to the next thing. So Christiana and Bay Health and BB and Nanticoke. 2 years ago, when we launched our partnership, we didn't know how things would evolve, but they certainly have evolved in all kinds of interesting ways. And frankly, the masks here tell us it's still with us. And I should add that over the 2 years, the fund awarded grants to 208 different nonprofits in the state. And I've said this before too, but one of the really amazing things about that program, our program in Delaware was the fastest program in the country to get grants out to nonprofits once COVID hit. And a lot of you were reviewing those grants and helping us move them. And we were turning grants around in 5 days. Monday at noon, we had our deadline and we were granting by 5 p.m. on Friday. And that was really a credit to all of you. Second, I want to turn to our work on questions of racial equity. Almost 5 years ago, the DCF board committed to begin our path on racial equity. And this past year has seen a number of new advancements. First, the DCF board reconfirmed again its commitment to building equity for all people in Delaware, and two, at this time, focusing particularly on the historical inequities in racial equity. This week, we completed a year-long project with national consultants from Diversity Crew, in which our board and staff reviewed policies, practices, history, and have created a new set of goals and guidelines for our work going forward. We've integrated questions of diversity into all of our discretionary grant programs. And we set up one grants program specifically to support nonprofits working to support BIPOC communities and leaders. That program is now 2 years underway. With partnership with the DCF African American Empowerment Fund, we're able to help groups like Fourth Dimension Leaders, an organization helping educators lead equity efforts at schools and in community. Originally a program that we were fiscal sponsor for, it's now launched as its own nonprofit and is working in several districts in the state. Or Harambe, Delaware, also working with us as their fiscal sponsor. They're working with materials that others have assembled as well as some of their own to help develop programs to help BIPOC nonprofit founders and leaders grow their organizations and impact. We believe this kind of program is a critical part of building a resilient and sustainable civil sector, serving the needs of all of us now and in the future. And truly in this work around equity, and in fact, all of our work, when we talk with nonprofit partners, with donors, with community leaders, we are constantly inspired by their work and commitment to a better Delaware. Yet, we would also be foolish not to recognize that there are some real fractures right now. Over the past couple of years, I've kind of tongue-in-cheek spoken of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in modern society: COVID, racial inequity, struggling democracy, and climate change. But the truth is, there are a lot of things going on that are troubling. Rising authoritarianism around the world, Russia's invasion of Ukraine presenting a growing threat of renewed Cold War, growing inflation, a higher education system that puts too many deep in debt, gun violence that seems to increase daily, mistrust of our neighbors, and a growing sense that people who think differently than us are not good people. Unfettered social media, where a single bad thought can turn somebody into an outcast. What's that, 11 horsemen of the apocalypse? Which brings me to the third theme. It has to do with what I believe is a critical role of our community foundation and all of us to civil society and to strong democracy. And that's why, in addition to the other things I talked about, we're increasingly expanding our work to ensure through our grants and programs that our civil society achieves our highest goals, that we renew our commitment to community that serves all of us. There are many elements to a stronger civil society. The National Academy of Arts and Sciences last year, in their report, Our Common Purpose, issued a set of recommendations to reinvigorate our collective goals of a vibrant civil society. They talk about civics education, journalism, bridging political divides, inspiring local activism, electoral reform, strong civic infrastructure. At DCF, of course, we can't do all of this, but there are places where we can and will and should have a role. In civics education, over the past 3 years, DCF, in partnership with the Riddell Foundation and with support from the Bezos Foundation, helped launch the Mikvah Action Civics program starting in Wilmington schools. Mikva's a new kind of civics education. It's kind of not a how a bill becomes a law education, but I think of it as how a student becomes a citizen education. It includes the things I learned in high school, sure, but it also includes different ways of affecting public policy and affecting your community and organizing and speaking up. Started in red clay schools under the leadership of Holly Golder there, and since it started, 8,350 students have participated. The number of participating schools has now grown from 12 to 22 schools, and the number of districts involved from 1 district to 4 districts. It's civic education for these times. Better information and journalism, of course. The Delaware Local Journalism Initiative has been spearheaded by Allison Levine, DCF's VP for Communications and Marketing. We're both the fiscal sponsor and a member of the work she and others are doing. The initiative just released the results of their year-long survey of Delawareans who spoke loudly about their frustration with the state of local journalism and a desire for greater information. Lack of local news and information affects everyone, said Allison in issuing the report. How do you enroll a child in school, know when to vote, or learn why some people wear masks while others go without if you don't have good sources of information? The report includes a series of recommendations to bolster Delaware journalism, and we're looking forward to working in partnership to see some of these things happen. More deeply, questions of societal divisions are driving much thinking throughout the country. And it has become so easy to turn people into bad and good people, into evil and good people. What's clear is too many of us have forgotten how to talk to each other across these divides, how to talk and then still work together even if we don't always agree. Our fall building opportunity keynote this year will be with Monica Guzman of Braver Angels. Monica's new book is, I Never Thought of It That Way, How to Have Fearlessly Curious Conversations in Dangerously Divided Times. She begins with her own story, working in liberal communities, mostly in Seattle, while she herself hails from a Donald Trump-supporting Mexican immigrant family. Her plea is that we learn not necessarily to agree, but to find the humanity in each other, to listen, to understand, and then work together to continue building better communities. As in the past, we'll be offering copies of the book for your book circles and holding ongoing conversations. Additionally, in our podcast series this year, which we'll start recording later this summer, I will talk with people from various walks of life about how they think about bridging in their work, whether their work is around racial equity, ideas, politics, education, or otherwise. All of these themes, celebrating philanthropy, addressing racial equity, committing to civil society, these are core principles of our work at the Foundation. And it harkens back to a word I shared with you all last year. That word is eudaimonia. It's that Greek word meaning something like the good life or a life well lived. The economist Umair Haque talks about eudaimonic prosperity, about living meaningfully well. Its purpose is, he says, living, doing, achieving, fulfilling, becoming, inspiring, transcending, creating, accomplishing the stuff that matters most in life. When Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, he talked about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The happiness he referred to was eudaimonic happiness. The pursuit of a life well lived. We all know the flaws in the Declaration and the Constitution, but on this, they were spot on, I believe. And I contend that the philanthropic pursuit is part of that. I believe philanthropy is part of what matters most. We are in the eudaimonia business. And that informs everything we do. Like most of you, I continue to find that Delawareans of all types constantly look for the best ways to work together. Our partnership in COVID involved people with drastically different experiences, passions, and approaches, but with a common concern about helping the state withstand the pandemic. Our scholarship program includes supporters who are interested in diverse schools, different kids, kinds of students in different places, but all committed to greater access to high quality education. Our commitment to equity seeks to better our work and build on the best of other people's work too. Donors to DCF overall represent a huge swath of American life. I believe our strength is our diversity. Moreover, solutions to our problems will not come from one set of perspectives. One of the great benefits of living in a small state is that the only way things get done is to accept that we can't always agree, but we won't succeed if we only focus on that disagreement. We need to lean into our disagreements and seek to understand and work on solutions. And we at DCF, we will keep leaning into solutions and to working together toward a common future. At DCF, we remain committed to great philanthropy, great giving, great generosity. At DCF, we remain committed to addressing the needs of our communities, racial inequities, economic opportunity, educational and environmental needs. At DCF, we remain committed to a robust and varied nonprofit sector. And at DCF, we remain doubly committed to working together and helping all of us work together to do that better going forward. So this past year, it has been a year of transition, and it was filled with deep challenges, and the coming year will be more of the same. Meanwhile, those of us in the work of strengthening community, of philanthropy, we will continue to cooperate from a perspective of eudaimonia and toward a community that serves us all. Thank you for your partnership and support. Thank you for being here tonight.